Hello and welcome to today's reading. Hello to those of you who are returning and welcome to anyone who's new. For anyone who is new to the channel, I'll just explain to you how my messages come through. So they come through as a series of words, phrases, sometimes little scenes played out in my head, sometimes little conversations, sometimes just images. And then what I do is I use tarot. Already struggling with my words, no, not a good start. And then I use tarot to clarify and back up any messages that have come through. So we'll dive straight in. So the first thing that came through was just a single word, and it was the word contemptuous. Now I do feel like this is following on from the previous reading. So if any of this resonates with you today, I'll put the link to the previous reading in the description box below. It'd be worth having a look back at that. Now I get the feeling that this feeling of contempt is about a situation that you are either on the verge of leaving or have just left. So whether that be a relationship, a work environment, a place, a situation that you've been in, however it resonates, I just feel like you've become intolerant to a certain thing that you're in, and I don't know what it is because it'll be different for everyone. And this intolerance has come as a result of feeling like you're out of alignment with it. So something within this thing that you're about to leave or have just left, it just wasn't sitting right anymore. And I get the feeling that that's because you've had a real deep dive into what feels right for you, like really reassessed what your values actually are, what your own beliefs are, and what your own likes and dislikes are. And it's almost like you've been able to filter through what's yours and what's come from somebody else or what's come from society, you know, these things that are sort of like constructed by external things, and they become part of who we are. But I really get the feeling that you've stripped all of that back, or you're in the process of stripping all of that back and coming back to your own true self. Okay, and when I drew a tarot card for this one, I got the Hierophant. Now, the Hierophant, it can symbolise sort of following rules, doing things by the book, there being a set way of doing things. And I get the feeling that that's what you're now moving away from, or that's what this feeling of contempt is about. It's like, I'm intolerant to this now. It just isn't sitting right with me, whatever this structure is that I'm part of. You know, it might be something as big as society just doesn't feel right for me at the moment. I don't like the way things work. I don't like the feeling of having to, or I should be doing things that feel like they've been prescribed to me. So that's the feeling that I'm getting coming through, and it's like you're getting through that. And then the next word that came through to me, I'll admit I had to look it up, because although I've heard the word before, I didn't know what it meant, and it's gravlax. I don't know what gravlax is. For any Scandinavian listeners out there, you will know what this is. So it is a Scandinavian dry cured salmon, and the way that this is cooked, the way that it's prepared traditionally, is by being buried underground with salt. Now, anything with salt for me is all about cleansing, and that it comes back to what I've just been talking about. It's like you've cleansed everything out of your system that isn't yours to carry anymore. You're cleansing it all away, stripping it all back. And that's the phrase that was coming out last time as well, stripping back. I remember saying it is stripping back to the bare bones. Yeah, so that's what's happening. It's like a cleansing of everything, a cleansing of your soul, so that you're getting back to the soul essence of who you are. And it feels really nice. And when I've drawn a tarot card for this one, I love this. It's the Empress. So this is all about sort of pulling back to your intuitive, nurturing. And yeah, I feel like you're really nurturing yourself. You're putting yourself and your needs first, without feeling like you're being too much, without feeling like you shouldn't be feeling this way. You're embracing it. You're embracing how you feel. You're stepping into it. You're coming back to who you are. Now, the Empress can also represent somebody in your life who is providing that nurturing for you, almost like a mother figure. And the next image that had come to my head, this ties in really nicely with. So this one was an image. It was a scene played out, and it was two people sat in a garden, and one of them was an older lady. And I get the feeling that this is someone that's passed on. So you may have a loved one in your life that's passed on recently, and it could be male or female, but whoever it is, they're providing a nurturing, caring energy. Okay, and the thing that is being said, well, I'll just explain where you are first. So sat in a garden full of the most beautiful, colourful flowers, and the sun's shining, and there are birds flying around, and it's just such an idyllic looking place that this person is in. And the person is saying to you, it's a sweet sentiment, that, and I'm with you there. So it's almost like they're agreeing with what you're doing. And this is why it's feeling like a mothering energy. It's because this person, or this, whoever it is that's looking out for you in this motherly sort of way, knows that, I'm going to try and get this out. It's a really hard one to convey because I can feel it more than I can say it. It's like they know that what you're doing through love for yourself. And they agree with you. They agree with that sweet sentiment of what it is that you're doing. Okay. Yeah, like you're doing the right thing. It's almost like they're giving you reassurance that you are doing the right thing. To have left this sort of overbearing situation, I get the feeling that's what it is. This rules and regulations, and staying something with it because it's the done thing, the expectation of you. This is, this entity is saying, this spirit, this passed on loved one, whoever it is that's guiding you here. It might even just be your higher self. It might be you and your own intuition. You're doing the right thing. That's what's coming through loud and clear. Okay. Now, the next thing that came through was another image, and it was of an ostrich with its head buried in the sand, but it lifts its head out of the sand, and that's what it feels like has happened. It's almost like you've been denying how you feel, burying your head in the sand about things, just getting on with things and just ignoring that sort of little nudgy feeling that you've got that needs attention, but finally you've woken up to it. You've lifted your head out of the sand. You've seen the wood for the trees. It's like you've gained clarity. I'm merging a lot of my words today. It's because I'm so excited to say what this message is about, because it's just such a long, I'm doing it again, loud, clear message. Apologise. Oh gosh, we're not setting up for a good reading here, are we? No, it is a good reading. I'm just getting a little bit ahead of myself. Okay, so the ostrich popping its head up out of the sand. You've gained clarity. You're no longer repressing those feelings. You're letting them come to the forefront, and you're letting them guide what you're doing next. Okay. And that then led on, and I like this because it's just been a series of images for me. The next image was of a signpost. Now, here in Yorkshire, well, in Calderdale, where I'm from anyway, we have these lovely wooden public footpath signs, and they have like sort of scribed into them. Is that the word? Oh God, I'm really struggling today, aren't I? Scribed into them, where they lead to. So it says public footpath leading to wherever. So it's one of these, and there's a post in the middle, and there's a few different signposts leading in all different directions. Now, what we don't have in Calderdale, but what I did have in this image, were light bulbs on each of these things, like the old-fashioned, like screw-in halogen light bulbs, and they're kind of flickering. Some of them are totally out, and they're flickering on and off, and I get the feeling like it's, now that you've made this decision of where you don't want to be, you're almost like, but where do I want to be? There's all these different options. And when I've drawn a tarot card for this one, I got the 7 of Cups. It couldn't have been more apt. Okay, so 7 of Cups is all about having different choices. So you see all these different cups have a different thing for this guy to move forwards with. So it's all these different things that are being offered to you, but you're not quite sure which is the right one. And with this signpost and the lights it's not quite showing the right way to go. But what happens in this image then is that as you step onto that path, a trail of lights goes along, a bit like will-o'-the-wisps, if you're, aware of those, like an old folklore sort of thing, that they'd entice you into a forest. You'd follow them and they'd lead you to where you need to be. So that's what it was like. It was like as you stepped along this path, the lights came on as you were walking along it. So it's almost like the way isn't clear, but once you start taking those steps, the way will become clear. And even if you start taking those steps and the clarity comes through that this isn't the right path, that's fine as well, because that in itself is clarity. All you need to do is come back to that signpost and choose another one of the options and go ahead on it. Now, I do get the feeling that for some of you who are watching this today, that there is like a fear of failure moving forward on one of these paths. But it's a difficult one, is failure, and I've struggled with this for the majority of my life, like the fear of failure. And what I will say is that the points in my life that I've deemed to be a failure have actually been the biggest life lessons that I've learned from, to then move forward in a different path. So it's all about sort of changing your perspective on how you view things that aren't right for you. And you never know until you give something a go. Yeah? Okay, so don't see it as a failure if the path that you choose to take, you decide isn't right. Just retrace your steps. And it could be that you learn something along the way on that particular path that is useful for the next path that you take. Or it may just be that it just shows you that that wasn't the way for you. And everything is absolutely fine. There is no right or wrong with this. It's just all about trying those different options until you do feel right about one. Okay? And really listening into that. Yeah? And don't beat yourself up if you go quite far down that path before you realise it's not right. What will happen with that is you'll start to get a stronger feel for what it is that your intuition feels to you, how it signals things to you. Okay, so that the next time you start doing something that doesn't feel in alignment, you'll notice it quicker. You'll notice it sooner. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now, the other card that came up alongside this was the Ace of Swords, which is all about gaining clarity. So it's only by doing this, by testing the different options, that you are going to get absolute clarity. Now, it might be that you go with the first option that comes to mind and you know straight away with clarity that it's the right thing for you, but it might be that you try all 7 different options before you gain the clarity. Nothing is right or wrong with this. Just have the courage to step forwards and don't fear failure. It's embrace it. Embrace all of life's journey, whichever path it is that you take. Okay. And really, really lovely alongside that, the next message that had come through to me was, it was just the phrase, I don't even know if it is a phrase, it was just some words that came in. It was moving ahead valiantly. So doing it with courage. It just sums up everything I've just said. And alongside that one, we had the King of Wands. Now, the King of Wands moves forwards with the wisdom of what is learned from the past. So it comes back again to, learning about what's right and wrong for you. I mean, you've already got the knowledge that whatever this was in the beginning, this rules, regulations, doing things by the book, doing things to societal norm, wasn't right for you. You've cleansed yourself and got into your nurturing spirit. You've got a nurturing energy looking after you. And then when you do gain the clarity, that is when you can move forwards with the wisdom and the knowledge, knowing that something is right for you. I'm loving this message. It almost feels like it's the clearest and the most exciting message I've had through so far, which is just so exciting. Right, there was a little word of warning come through from tarot. So I decided to draw another card, and I got the Knight of Wands. Now, this guy's moving forwards, but he's doing it at a pace that could be seen to be a little bit hasty. He's in trouble of making mistakes. Also, he has the tendency to sort of be a little bit overconfident and perhaps a little bit, I want to say, like bragging about what he's doing. And this is the advice that's coming through from tarot, is to not do this. And also not feel the need to get validation from others about what it is that you're doing. Because the next message that came through to me, again, just another few words, a short sentence, it was, silence is rhetoric. Okay, now rhetoric is when you're using language to sort of persuade or yeah, put across, I'm doing it again, I'm losing words, put across your point of view. So for the saying that came through to be silence is rhetoric, it's almost saying that you don't need to brag about what you're doing. You don't need to defend your decisions. There's no need to get permission from anyone else for this. There's no need to get external validation, because you know what it is that's right for you moving forward. You've got the clarity of what it is for you. And what happens is, when you start telling other people, and especially if it's a path that's a little less well trodden by others, you will get other people's opinions coming through. And what you don't want is for their opinions to cloud your judgment. Now, you might know some trusted people that you can share this with, or if you do feel like you need some support along the way, look to those who have either taken similar action or have done something against the norm. Because what will happen is, if you tell somebody who hasn't got a feeling of and leaned into their own intuition about what it is that they really want, they're still sort of abiding by expectations and norms and fitting into a, you know, I don't want to say it without sounding like really judgmental, but if you ask people who are scared themselves to take that leap of faith, or don't really know what it is that they want, their own fears of doing that for themselves will be projected onto you. I hope that makes sense. So that's just a word of warning about this. So the silence is rhetoric. You don't need to ask anyone else's permission. The only permission you need is your own. And that is so exciting. You can give yourself permission to do whatever you want, as long as you're not breaking any laws or anything. Or going out of your way to be malicious. Please don't do that. Okay, the next message that came through was ducks in a row. I don't know if that's a saying outside of Yorkshire. Is it a saying in the rest of the UK? I don't know. Put something in the comments. I don't even know if it's a saying across the rest of the English-speaking world, but to get your ducks in a row is to have things lined up, ready to take those steps. So it's all about moving forwards with that wisdom that we spoke about, being the King of Wands. Okay, so line things up that you need. Get ready to take that action that you need. Some of you are already doing this. I get the feeling about that. You're already taking those steps, doing that research, getting a bit of a plan in place for where you want to be, where you want to go. So yeah, it's all a very exciting messages, this one. As always, if any of this has resonated with you at all, please pop some comments in below, because I would really love to see where you're at with things. As always with YouTube, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to find out when my next video is coming through. I'm just so excited to share in your journey. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.